Larry Greene is here to raise the vibration of the human experience and help all of us live in our prime. He believes in the potential of each of us to become the best version of ourselves. As the founder and CEO of Genesis Performance, he wants to help you find balance in all areas of your health, whether it's improving your sleep, raising your consciousness, or enjoying new healthy foods. He's devoted his life and work to building an unending supply of resources for you to use to your highest benefit. Larry earned his MBA from Pepperdine University and is a National Academy of Sports Medicine certified personal trainer with over 23 years of experience in the health and fitness industry as a gym owner, personal trainer, and nutrition and lifestyle advisor. He's had his own crossroads moments and has walked the walk in applying all of his knowledge and experience to find joy and passion in his own life as well. We'll be talking about mind, body, and spirit in this episode and the small changes you can make to see and feel a huge difference in your everyday. Larry is a man with a plan to change the world, one healthy and happy human at a time. Hi, Larry.
Hi, Larry.
Hello. Thank you for that introduction. It sounds great hearing that.
Good.
And I'm listening thinking, I need all that stuff
Exactly.
Yes.
in a big download.
It's on its way.
Yeah.
So tell us, what does living in your prime mean to you?
First of all, thank you for the opportunity to be with powerful women on your amazing platform. I'm honored and flattered, and I love what you're doing. And we've talked about the amazing things that we hope to do together. So thank you for that. And it's a pleasure to be able to share my passion of 25 plus years. And I want to download as much of it as I can. So living in your prime is my tagline for Genesis. And it has so many different meanings, right? Everyone has their own. But I would say out of the gate, what did we feel like when we were in our prime? What is our prime? How do we define our prime? Was it when you were in high school and you're a football player? Was it when you were in college in the dorm? Was it when you had a six pack of abs? Everyone has their own definition. And so what I do is I use that as the measurement of where are you today versus when you were in your prime. And then we start looking at the delta, what's happened. And we don't live in a perfect scenario because of family, because of stress, because of the food chain, because of trauma, because of work requirements. And so I get everybody to define what living in their prime means to them quantitatively, qualitative, mind, body, spirit. And then we build towards that in getting as close as we can to that. And then when they're living in their prime, mind, body, spirit, all boats rise. They can elevate their family, they elevate their children, they elevate their coworkers, and they elevate themselves. And then that all trickles out into humanity, into the universe.
That's wonderful. I have a question about that. Some of us older people may think that we're past our prime. And it feels like what you're talking about is how to make prime the continuation in your life versus a one place destination in time. Is that right?
Absolutely. And you're definitely not old.
Just some days you're feeling like I'm past my prime. And I just love this idea of how you're approaching it. Of it doesn't matter what age you are, you can be in that state of prime in your life based on all of the things that you work with.
The anchor of prime in I was in my prime is just that. It's an anchor. It doesn't mean that you're going to drag that anchor with you through life. You have to have buoyancy in what living in your prime is. My mother is 94. She's dealing with numerous physical, mental, emotional issues. She's had to learn to accept, I can't do this anymore. I can't do that anymore. And find that presence of prime. Okay, mom, you're 94. You lived through numerous generations. You were born the year of the Depression. You have so much information to share with the world of how you've navigated that time period. So she can live in her prime as of who she is today, but it's really the foundation of all of her experiences since that initial prime that actually makes us stronger and more powerful and more centered, because all experiences are presented for us to gain strength and stability, right?
Absolutely. And I love even the way that you are defining it. It reminds people of when we talk about their prime, that feeling that they had, that when they felt their absolute best and maybe in their minds were achieving the absolute best in different areas and what's important to them, and reminding them you can get back to that feeling feeling, and you're there to help them get back to that feeling, no matter how old you are.
Yeah, and re-quantifying that in a way. Just because you maybe can't do something the way you used to doesn't mean that you can't recalibrate and say, maybe I can't run a marathon at my top speed anymore, but boy, I can sure walk 3 miles a day if I want to and still enjoy that feeling of nourishment for my body. So it's just re-looking at what that definition actually is for you at whatever stage you are in life.
And we live in a society where defining prime is very external. It requires this external validation, this look in the mirror, this judging against peers. And so it's about asking them to put on different glasses and have a different vision of what is the quality of my life. It's not my bank account. It's not my six pack. It's not me doing 15 push-ups. It's not me driving XYZ car. It's a reassessment of the purpose of the existence and how to fulfill your desires and goals.
How did you get to this place? What has been your journey to get to where you are now and being able to help people get back to help people find their prime?
There's no accidents in how things happen. I grew up with a very high performing family, youngest of 3 boys. If you didn't have 2 degrees and Eagle Scout and all these things, you were a schlepper. So I was inspired to be a high achieving individual. I entered the real estate development world working with my father at a young age, and then certainly when I graduated college. And by chance, which was not by chance, I connected with a guy in my neighborhood who wanted to build out a small gym. And being in the development and construction business, I said, great, I'll help you out. We'll do XYZ and I'll build the gym for you. And next thing, I'm a partner with him in the gym. I wasn't a fitness guy at that point. I was basically healthy, but I wasn't a fitness guy by any means. Not a spiritual guy, not a health guy. I was just a dude navigating life. And so I built out the gym for him and we became partners. And then I ended up taking over the business, and it was a passion hobby for a few years. And I expanded it because I'm very entrepreneurial. And I became a health, fitness, vitality, longevity guy. I used myself as the guinea pig. How strong can I get? What happens if I change my diet? What about my sleep quality? And I surrounded myself with people with expertise in fields that I was not an expert in. And we had this brand that ultimately became Genesis Performance, which exists today. I had a private training studio. We had a holistic approach to helping people because I realized if I get you for an hour or 2 or 3 in the gym, it's not going to move the needle because you still have 23 hours in the day to either do well or not do well. And I realized that you have to have a holistic mind, body, spirit approach to wellness, to vitality, to longevity. And so that took me down that path on that physical side. And I believe in data. So blood panels, super, super important. Brain chemistry, gut biome, sleep quality, stressors, movement, lean muscle. My favorite is gaining, maintaining lean muscle, I feel is the number one key to longevity. And I went down that road for a number of years. Then I had this life-changing event. My father passed away about 9 years ago. And it completely flipped me upside down and started a very deep and steep spiritual, energetic awakening, if you will, where I started looking at life differently, more from this broad picture of why are we here? Do we have a soul? What is our soul's purpose? What is this energetic vibration thing people talk about? Our solar system with planets rotating, spinning, what is that all about? Finding a new definition for what God means to me. And through that, you end up with mindset. And I know mindset's a very broad term. What we know is that what we think and what our brain interprets, our body responds to, and vice versa. And so we have this brain body ecosystem that can be calming and loving and centered, and it can also be stressed and frantic and angry. And we can control that. And so I brought that piece of the puzzle into the equation and helping people, primarily executives, business owners, corporate entities around stress management, trauma, because you can go to the gym, you can eat healthy, but if you're carrying around all of this trauma and stress, you can't have an optimal living experience.
In terms of your father's passing and asking those deep questions, how did you seek those out and what did you discover about yourself in asking those questions?
I spent the first year doing, just tasking and not dealing. I was the one kind of who managed the family's estate and was helping my mom and dealing with properties and other various things, and lived a year of tasking and didn't really allow it to be addressed. And then I entered a depression and lost my footing and started questioning everything. And I knew I needed help. So I went and I got help. And fortunately, out of the gate, the very first therapist that I went with was a huge turning point for me. We spent 3-4 months very intensely working together, a lot of journaling, a lot of letter writing, a lot of burning paper to get me out of the hole where I'm standing back on the ground with my own 2 feet. And at that point, let's say the door opened to exploring what's beyond the physical on this planet. And I became fascinated with it and studied it and read books and did podcasts. I found a soul healer, soul therapist that I went to and a personal coach. And so I had this team of people that were helping me unpack this paradigm and helping me deal with enormous amounts of trauma that I didn't know that I had, present life and shockingly to me at the time, because I was a very earthbound human, numerous past life experiences that were extremely traumatic and then extremely cathartic. And that really propelled me exponentially into the human that I am today.
And when you reached that level where you knew you needed help and it was triggered from the loss of your dad, you end up connecting with him beyond? Had you even believed that was possible?
Originally, no. I definitely did not. My eldest brother had been a spiritual type person for many years, and we said he was out there, he was woo, and I respected it, but I didn't believe it. So I had a few experiences, physical manifestation experiences, that ultimately proved to me beyond a shadow of a doubt that my dad's essence, his spirit, his energy was present, was with me, and that he was able to physically manifest things, which blew my mind. And it took me quite a while.
We want to hear, tell us one of them.
It was on my dad's birthday. I think it was the year after he passed. On his birthday, I'm driving and my phone was sitting in the seat, passenger seat, and I'm driving on a residential street. I wasn't on the freeway or anything. And for some reason, which we now know, I grabbed my phone and I flipped it around and I looked at it. And now I left my dad's contact info in my phone. It's still there today. I didn't touch my phone. I didn't have a car that even had Bluetooth in it at the time. There was an outgoing phone call to my dad's cell phone. And I'm like, I didn't do that. I didn't do that.
Yeah. Wow.
Cell phone trick. It works.
I mean, it's true. It blows your mind. It does.
Yeah. There were a couple other things, but that's the one that really cracked it open. As we are able to start healing and opening up our heart, and we know that's how the communication happens. I was very cerebral. Now I'm very heart-centric, heart-forward. That's how the communication happens. And I needed help to understand that. And it's literally a muscle that you have to strengthen. And so that, and I went to a brilliant medium who could channel like nobody's business. And I sat with her in person, and my dad obviously came down big time for her. And the tone, the language, 1000%. That was dad. And that was a huge opening for me as well. The cell phone one, and then the channeling, where there was no way she could make this up. And so that was like the second thing that just cracked it wide open for me. And then I learned how to communicate with him. And then we've evolved over many years to a very deep, very intimate, very connected relationship.
And I also love your story in the sense that so much of your earlier life was so physically earthbound focus. And it was this experience of your loving dad who actually opened you up to really feeling and believing in that and seeking more of that spiritual side of yourself.
And I've learned over the years to regulate that intensity. We're like-minded in this this regard. We understand the vernacular around this. And I respect the fact that some people don't. Many people don't, unfortunately. My middle brother totally doesn't. I understand it because until you experience it, until you have, whether it's a life-changing event or a near-death experience or something physical that actually gets you to open your eyes to it, it's hard to believe. It's hard to
Yes.
understand it.
Yes.
And so I regulate it with clients and meet them wherever they are, but the concepts are the same. We're heart-centric. We need to find center. We are supported and help people to find, some people, maybe it's Jesus, maybe it's God, maybe it's Buddha that is their center. Great. Love all of it. For me, it ended up becoming universal energy, my father's connection, oneness with the universe. And in my case, more about my soul journey and my soul purpose and my soul family and my soul trauma. And what that has done for me is allowed me to be lighter and more buoyant, more translucent, more of an observer. And that calm and that peace and that center that you can share with people, whether they believe or don't believe, allows them to take a breath. I had a client across the country and we were on a Zoom call and I asked the right question and he just melted. And I felt his energy through the monitor and I was spoken to. It's like, there's trauma. And I said, hey, so-and-so, you're carrying around an enormous amount of trauma and you don't have to. He started bawling. And it's just so rewarding to have that intuitive sense to be able to, in a short period of time, help somebody crack something open. When I first went for therapy, I had a friend who I asked for a recommendation. I said, I'm not sitting on a freaking couch for 6 months. I want someone who's going to get in there and just hammer me over the head, make me do the work so that I can get clear of this. I don't want to exist in this state of being. And that's what we can do with this intuitive, energetic coaching.
That's right. You can get there when someone is ready to do the work and be open. You can get there much quicker than you may have imagined. Because I think we planned these certain times in life for these unlockings and for these openings to take us to this other level of our own evolvement as a soul. But when you're in that very 3D world and that reality of that world, it is really hard to see it. On one of our podcasts recently, someone who had gone through a tragic time with her mother who passed away, and that was an opening for her. She said, I just want to help people wake up before they have to go through the trauma, which of course is what we all want to do. However, people just may not be ready. And
or they need the trigger of the trauma to get them to that place where they're willing to look further for another solution.
Yes. And if we come back to more of an earthly approach, so you have a client that doesn't eat well, has extra weight, doesn't sleep well, has an extremely demanding job, has stress at home. The cloud is dumping rain on them. They can't get out of their own way, understandably. And they're consuming all this negative media. And of course, we have all our political and economic and wars, and we have all kinds of stuff going on that people just consume and contain. So my offer to those that are listening is you can take small bites out of it. I'd like to use visual metaphors to dump some of the water out of the bucket to create some space. So what we do is we have an intake process and let's find the low-hanging fruit and let's start making little micro changes in your daily behaviors, the physical behaviors, the mental behaviors, the work behaviors, and let's start slowing down that pipeline of stress and trauma. And what happens is it's like the layers start to disappear and the window is brighter now. And now they can take a step forward. And then it gets brighter and they can take another step forward. What I have found is it's overwhelming. It's daunting. There's too much information on the internet. People love to Google the hell out of things and it just creates more confusion. So my approach, and this is not a sales pitch, this is a sharing of information, start with simple moves. Let's make some minor adjustments in your eating strategy, whatever that may be. And we could do a whole podcast just on eating and fueling your body. Let's see if we can improve your sleep quality a little bit by making some behavioral changes before you go to bed. Let's make some changes to your bedroom environment. So there's some little micro strategies around nutrition, around sleep quality, around movement I don't know the percentage, but I think it's around 70% of people in the workplace have chronic back pain because they're sitting in a chair, usually not ergonomically structured properly, and their body's all locked up. And if you can't move, movement is really the physical impetus of improved vitality because it fires all those hormones, it gets the body moving, it gets the blood circulating, and you start feeling better. So figure out what is the thing that's really gnawing at you the worst and figure the thing that you're most willing to start taking steps to fix.
I love that approach because that is a way for people who may not have had a big trauma happen to them, but they are feeling like shit to
Right.
start feeling better, honestly. And I'm wondering too, when you're doing all this with people who are at that very kind of beginning stages of to understand how to feel better, do you start talking at all about energy? Because as you said, what's surrounding them, whether it's at work or what they may have on TV or what they're listening to, may be adding to how they're feeling, whether with fear, with more negative energy. Do you start bringing any language like that in?
Yes, everybody's different. I try not to say, stop doing this, stop doing that. Rather, start doing this. Start flooding your mind with positive things, music, audiobooks, take a walk in nature, find a novel to read, things where you're putting positive stimulus into your mind. And that automatically pushes some of that other stuff away. And then there's just this awareness that I like to present around, we know the mantras, your thoughts are your reality. You are what you think. For me, I like the notion of, I want you to understand that if you see something that scares you, maybe a bear is chasing you, your brain understands this as trauma. It triggers all kinds of physical things happening within your body. And so now we have the brain and body in this vicious cycle that you don't have to be in. Our DNA is based on when we were cavemen and women. We didn't live in homes. We didn't have heating and air conditioning. We didn't have these things. So we're still in that quick trigger trauma. And what that ultimately does is slow down their vibration a little bit. Some people want to understand the mechanics of it. Other people are just like, tell me what to do and I'll do it. So there's a whole menu of things that you can do to help people to understand there is vibration. We are vibration. We are energetic. The earth vibrates. Be aware of what's happening in your environment. If you work in an office and there's 25 employees in cubbies with fluorescent lighting and Wi-Fi rampant, that's not good for the physiology of your body. And if you go to work when it's dark and you go home when it's dark and you eat junky snacks, you're setting yourself up for failure in your desire to live a more vital, happy life.
I love these things too that you're saying about doing simple little things, because I can hear some people who might be listening now saying, yeah, you just described my office. That's the way it is. And so it's like, what can I do when I have these things in my life and they are part of my reality, and giving those people those little simple things that they can do to alleviate that stress. They might not be able to change everything in their environment, but to your point about music or breathing or some of those other things that they can do to help boost their energy, that can really make a difference.
And I appreciate financial strain. I appreciate time management strain. You can't give what you don't have. Put your oxygen mask on first. Yeah. If the concept of the stronger and more aligned and centered I am as a human, the more I can help the people around me that I work with, that I love, that I influence. And then it becomes contagious because everybody starts rising. And then you're in this positive snowball of eating a little bit better, sleeping a little bit better, journaling, taking a walk, doing some stretching. I've got a whole strategy around the office environment. You're in your office 10, 12 hours a day. We can create some time management strategies around efficiency. I have 2 business degrees, so I understand how to execute your day most strategically and how the brain responds to accomplishing tasks. I understand about people that have piles and piles of sticky notes and files on their desk, what goes on in the brain and what the optic nerve is picking up. up, we gotta just calm it down and be able to stay more centered and focused and avoiding that panic mode.
To me, what you're also bringing up is awareness, because people may not even realize what that environment or what those sticky notes are doing to their bodies. We're just not educated enough unless you are looking for it. And by hearing this, and maybe someone will forward this episode on to a friend that needs to hear it, it starts to give somebody just the awareness of what's going on around them, and the idea that there are these little things that can start to add up. And I think even what you're talking about, by making these little changes, you then end up attracting other more positive experiences into your life because you are vibrating on a different level. And we all know that because we walk the walk. We've experienced that and we continue to.
The best way to describe that one as I go to people is, you ever had that situation where you met someone for the first time and you just loved them and you just wanted to be near them? You just wanted to hug them. Yes, that was cool, right? Okay. Do you also remember a time where you met somebody and you were just completely thrown off? You didn't want to talk to that person. You didn't get them. That's energy vibration. That's a magnet that can either attract or repel. And they go, okay, so taking a spiritual energetic concept and translating it into experiences that we have in the physical realm, then they're like, okay, I get that. Don't you want to hang around more people like that first person? Yes. Great. So how do we do that? And we go down that road. And there's a lot around toxic work environments, and everyone has very short fuses around toxic environments because we've become very concrete walled about stuff. This is who I am. This is what I do. This is what I like. This is what I don't like. That's good. That's bad. As opposed to, can we just soften it a little bit? Can you have compassion for people that come off angry? Maybe they've got a story. Maybe they've got a trauma. We don't have to own the energy that ends up in front of us. We can choose to let it go.
I'm sure lots of people are fascinated now with just your overall approach. How do you work with people? Do you do an overall assessment to really help? You actually are intuitive, it sounds like, yourself, and to be able to tap in and really see, where do I start helping someone? Where are those easy areas that we can address first, and then building a plan for them? Can you just talk a little bit about that?
Absolutely. I learned as a client of coaching the distinction between a trainer and a coach, because I did personal one-on-one personal training for a long time. A trainer tells the client what to do. A coach asks questions and then guides the conversation. So the one-on-one client is one circumstance. The other is with an executive or a corporation, which I've been doing. And I'm doing some work in the near future with the local CHP, California Highway Patrol here. Government, state and government and city government organizations need help because there's a lot going on around mental health and health in general. And I have a lot of respect for law enforcement, and they're up against a pretty heavy battle, and their schedule and how they work and what they have to deal with is a lot. And they are generally not the type of personality that wants to get all touchy-feely. So I'm excited to help that demographic considerably. And then there's some city and state organizations that have reached out that want to help elevate their staff. We're still in this post-COVID era, and people are dealing with a lot of trauma and the hybrid work and all that kind of stuff. So everybody needs some help and some guidance and some inspiration. So generally, when I talk to someone, I'm going to ask a lot of questions. I'll get a sense very early on what our plan is and how we go about it, but it's co-created because they have to own it. They have to be part of that solution. And it's usually multi-pronged. I love the rule of three. So we're going to go after three things. If I'm working with an individual, I'm going to clearly understand their goals. I'm going to understand their history. I have a 7-page intake form that I use with many of them. And I'm just trying to get a really broad base of information around what they're dealing with. It's usually going to be some kind of metabolic thing, weight loss. I don't feel well. I'm not sleeping well. I'm post menopausal. For the boys, it's my what doesn't work very well. And so it's in that lane, or it's in the lifestyle lane, which is I'm stressed. I don't sleep well. I'm overworked, blah, 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 blah. And so I figure out what kind of lane we're in, and then we just circle down I have to meet them where they are. I say, in a perfect scenario, I would want to work with you 2 times a week, 3 times a week, whatever. We can do a phone call. I try to be very flexible. I don't have a one size fits all program because everyone's life is different. I do want to get them moving. I do want to get them making some slight changes in their eating strategy. And I use those words specifically. And I want to start addressing the mental, emotional point. And then I want to look at their daily routine. And then we just chip away and we pick one goal in each category. Typically, I'll give them a week to try and perfect it. I'm going to ping them. I'm going to text them. I'm going to email them. They're going to send me pictures of things throughout the week. Accountability is huge. Even if I'm coaching them 2 or 3 times a week, they've still got a lot of time on their own. So I have a strategy in place. We're checking in. There's ways for us to keep reminding them to stay on track. And if you fall off, I want to know quickly because there's 10 different ways to change a behavior. And I have to find the one that works and will resonate and stick with them. And we work our way down the road and then they start feeling better. And as I said, their vision is brighter and it's brighter and it's brighter. And oh my gosh, I feel so much better now. Where do we think we can be in 30, 60, 90 days? And who else in your world do we need to talk to help support you? Whether it's a spouse, whether it's a boss, whether it's a partner, whether as a reinforcement tool as well. And that's the basic approach. In many cases, I'm having them do some testing. I have a functional medicine MD specialist on my team. We can do everything virtually. Men and women that are over 50 and some younger are metabolically tanked, and you just can't function properly if you're bottomed out. If your hormones are bottomed out, if your adrenals are fatigued, if your vitamin mineral levels are tanked, if your thyroid's off, we're trying to move you forward while dragging a 100-pound dumbbell. So I get to see what there is from a metabolic standpoint, and then we go do testing, we get them on a protocol. And honestly, within 2 weeks, they're feeling it's amazing.
That is amazing.
Yeah, especially with females, if their hormones are tanked and you can get them on a proper, appropriate regimen that has supervision, that starts off nice and easy, that addresses the medical history. We have to educate people. We have to do the labs. We have to give them an understanding. With guys, it's pretty easy. Hey, dude, you took your car to the mechanic for a tune-up. He said you're 3 quarts low with your oil, your tires are 10 pounds low, your wiper blades are broken, your transmission fluid needs to be changed. And you say, that's okay, I'm good. It still drives. Said by no one. The human body is 100 times more sophisticated, intuitive, autonomous than the best Tesla on the road. And so there's a lot that's going on and not going on that you may not be aware of that is making your view very foggy and dingy. So we got to go there. And if they won't, it's a lot harder to get that needle moved more than that small amount.
How often have you had a client that comes to you to make a physical change, only they discover that the root cause is emotional? Because I think so many of us were just always thinking about physical.
We carry around so much trauma, even those that have the presumed perfect life. There's so much trauma just in this lifetime that we have allowed to inhabit our being. And as I've said, I'm an uncertified but highly qualified trauma therapist because everything boils down to trauma at some level to really get above it and to approach that prime, that living in prime. And the sad thing is that so many people, certainly in their 50s and 60s, have settled. They're okay with the inevitable decline. Clients have said, doesn't everybody get diabetes at some point?
Wow.
And one of the things I love to ask people, especially when I'm doing some group work, is for a quick answer to presuming that you can be mostly healthy, mentally, physically, how long do you want to live?
Ooh, what do you usually hear?
I have my own answer.
I would love to hear your answer.
83.
Okay, we're going to come back to that.
I don't have an answer.
Okay.
I don't know if I'm thinking it should be a number. It's all the things, right? As long as I feel good, as long as my brain memory works, as long as I can.
That's true, Karen. You're right. Yeah, I haven't really seen anyone live like these unbelievable lives past that.
And I have a 90-year-old father who is in such great mental, physical, emotional state that he defies a number.
Wow, so much to unpack here.
Sure.
So we know that our thoughts are our reality. We know that our body and our thoughts are intertwined.
Yes.
Robyn, if you're saying 83, you're setting up your mind, body, spirit towards 83.
I am, like, my whole family knows that. You're right.
Okay, so you're young, you're healthy, you're vital, you're in tune with yourself. You live in an era where there's healthful behaviors and stimulus available to you. Science, technology, and medicine are converging in a way. We've mapped the human body genetically. We've mapped the biome genetically. There are tests out there where they can digitize the human body and predict every potential ailment. And I believe, I'm a little scared of AI, but even that aside, we know that the longer we are healthy, the greater science and technology and medicine will be out there. And we have this whole paradigm between conventional medicine today versus exponential medicine technology as we move forward. So I believe that we will, in the next 10, 12 years, have the ability to predict and prevent all severe life-threatening illnesses. I'm not saying we can live to 1,000,
Wow.
but we know for a fact that our brains can function well beyond 100. And if you set yourself up and you take care of your mind, body, spirit, the whole thing, and you're able to slow down the physical aging process of your body, which you can do with all these lifestyle behavior changes, mindset, food, sleep, movement, blah, 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 blah. You have to program that into who you are as a human. And then there has to be a reason. You're programming your body. My number, 30 years ago, my number was 110. 10 years ago, I upped it to 120. 3 years ago, I upped it to 150. 150. I have no question that I can and will live a healthy, vital life at least until 150. And the key is, I want to live that long.
I love that. Yes. Yeah.
You have to want it.
You do.
We have this soul purpose, this soul journey. And okay, we'll go here. So, you know about the step-in souls? Drop-in soul?
Drop-in. Yeah, drop-in.
I'm certain that happened to me when my dad passed.
Tell us.
I thought different. I felt different. It was like the chapter from 0 to whatever the age was about raising a family, having this, doing that. And that had been accomplished. And we raised a great family. Then I ended up searching for, why am I really here? What? And then all of a sudden, I don't use the word, but I was reborn. I was reborn. I had a different energy system. I felt different. I thought different. My needs were different. My desires were different. And I had it corroborated by a couple people that I have enormous respect for around that. And I believe that when the soul journey is completed, when the soul has said, check, I've accomplished everything I came here to do, we have two options. We leave the physical body, we're done. We go back up and reincarnate at a later time, or we get a reboot.
Yeah.
And we get a new one. We have a new mission, a new purpose, a new passion, a new paradigm of how we look at life. I'm still me, but I'm so different.
For those listening, it's often talked about when you've had a near-death experience where the soul has that opportunity to leave the body and then another come in. So very often they talk about those pivotal moments when your body is literally at that precipice of death, where that drop-in opportunity can actually happen. And it's not something taking over your body, to be very clear. It's two souls making an agreement that this is going to be the transaction that happens.
And to those who are blown away right now, maybe the version of what you're picking up is, we have a soul journey. We have a soul purpose. And I invite you to go inward and ask those questions of yourself and trust that there's a voice in there. And whatever it is, but just be open to it. It can enhance and give clarity to your life purpose here. I could talk forever about my soul journey and what this lifetime's all about. I believe that I'm in the second chapter of a 3 soul journey physical experience. And this is why I'm being driven to live for so long, is that I really get the opportunity to make so much change at a soul energetic level through these 3 chapters of life. I don't know what the 3rd chapter is about. I'm sensing it's going to be in the mid 80s. So I've got a little time, but I feel like a 30-year-old right now. I'm definitely not 30, maybe just a little bit more. I told you how old I am, haven't I? 62.
Wow.
Look amazing.
Yeah, I'm 62. I have good genetics. I've been a vegan for over 20 years. I know it's not right for everybody. We can have a conversation about veganism and nutrition and animal proteins versus plant proteins. Everybody's got different needs. It's worked extremely well for my body. I do blood panels every year. I address deficiencies. I tell people I'm 62, I feel 30, and I often act 15.
That I think that's part of the key, isn't it?
You have to be a kid. You
Have
have to be
fun.
a kid.
Mhm.
We're off on this interesting tangent here. I think I'm in the second chapter, which is probably a 40, 50-year time frame. And then the next one,
Listen, you
yeah,
are changing even in this conversation. You're now helping me erase that age that I've had in my head, which is a big deal. You are talking about yourself and is definitely inspiring me to get rid of that, which I'm sure, Karen, that makes you happy too, because you've always heard me
Yeah.
talk about
I think
that.
perceptually, so
Yeah.
many people think there's like a line in the sand. I
right.
cross okay, now it's all downhill, or there's no more time left, or you have to get to a certain point in your life to achieve or be certain things, and then you lose
Right.
your opportunity. And it's such a wonderful perspective. And in the reality of all of the science that you're talking about, that it's not just, oh, I'll be an oddity and be much older when I pass,
Yeah.
but you are looking at it in the sense of holistic wellness and giving people that opportunity to think, why not?
Yeah.
Why can't I? What is the real limitation? This is a body. So if I take care of it, I should be able to live a long and healthy life. And we do have so much science and understanding of how the
Yeah.
body actually all works together.
It brings up to this idea of how you're talking about it's whether you're checking your blood work and even just checking in with a team, with someone. It's helping people look at themselves and not judge themselves, because I think there's just such a fear for many people to do that work because they're embarrassed about what may come up and what someone else may see about them. And when you are able to get over that hump and look at it and then do something about it, you really feel like a different person just by that act.
I wanted to ask you, because you have this belief now, what gives you that confidence that someone can really live that long? And have people in prior generations lived that long? We just don't have record of that. I want to say somewhere there's a record that Moses, like back in the day, they lived 50 years.
If not more. And I've heard those anecdotal stories as well. I think the oldest living maybe in America or the world, I'm not sure, is around 122. For me, mindset is number one. You have to have that belief and a will to do that. And I've been studying longevity and vitality for 25 years. I follow all kinds of exponential people. I follow doctors. I follow functional medicine people and so on. And you just absorb all of it. And obviously I filter it, and there's a lot of grains of salt that get applied. There's just that knowing. Same with the spirituality.
Yeah, definitely. Can you define vitality for people? What your definition of what vitality is?
So longevity is quantitative. It's a length. Vitality is qualitative. It speaks to the quality and effervescence of life. There's people that are 90, 100, 105 that are miserable because they're on pain meds or whatever. It's like lifespan and health span, right? Those are two big words now. So we know we can increase lifespan. And then the world that I live in is how do we increase health span? And to me, health span has to include vitality, the bubbles, the spunk, the spirit, the spark in your existence. And that's the only way to live. I had a meeting today and people talk about the weekend. I'm like, every day's a weekend.
That's what we should strive for.
I am blessed. I work for myself. I'm an entrepreneur. I make my own schedule. I don't have any children to take care of other than a lot of grandkid babysitting, which is amazing. And I'm living in a community that speaks to me. I have a partner who we feel love for one another. I'm comfortable financially. I'm beyond blessed. And I recognize that and I appreciate it. And every day I try to pay that forward. I try try to inspire and elevate as many humans as I can. And so I'm in a unique place to be able to say all these things. And I get that.
And you created it, by the way.
I did create it. And for those that listen, people that we know that don't live in that paradigm today, they could be medium, they could be low, they could be struggling. A lot of people are struggling financially right now. It's just brutal. And people are struggling medically, and people are struggling in so many different ways. I just want to help. And because people just get stuck and they end up in this hole and they just freaking can't figure out how to even get a foothold, work towards the light. And us light workers have to get it out there. We have to multiply. We have to expand, because it's all good versus evil, air quotes.
Yeah.
There's a lot of evil going on. And I don't mean politically, I just mean in how we consume our life experience. So I have this massive bag of tricks. I've got hundreds of hours of recipient coaching and therapy. I've done hundreds and hundreds of hours of my own work and studying and learning. And I just want to share it. The money thing just works itself out. That's not the primary goal. Primary goal is connecting with humans and inspiring them. That's my title on my card, Chief Inspiration Officer, CIO. And I didn't go with the whole CEO thing. I'm like, you know what? Let's just go Chief Inspiration Officer, because people need inspiration.
They do. For those listening, when we talk about the different areas of life that they should focus on, you have come up with these pillars, and we can probably do an episode on each one. But can you just overall talk about what these different pillars are?
Sure. Food, nutrition, eating strategy is one, not in no particular order. They're all equally important. And the basics around that is hydration, super important. Everyone's dehydrated. And there's enormous metabolic waterfalls that occur, no pun intended, through dehydration. You're dehydrated before you know it. Before you say, oh my God, I need to have a drink, you're already dehydrated. Metabolic function changes dramatically. Food timing is number two. There's a whole big conversation around intermittent fasting. We can talk forever about that. Your body is accustomed to a fueling, feeding schedule. And when you deprive your body of that, it takes countermeasures, which contributes to us storing fat. And it creates a bonk and a rise in our energy levels. Number three is food combining. Proteins, fats, carbohydrates, understanding what is what, how they work together, and what an appropriate combination is. Four is food quality. Our food chain is beyond broken. If you're buying something that's in a package, a can, or a box, you have to read every single ingredient. If you don't know what 5 of them are, you need to put that thing down. Your body responds to foreign, it's considered foreign material, and your body goes into this state of defense mode rather than fueling your body. And then for me, number 5 in that order is food quantity based on goals. Because if you're hydrated, you're getting the right balance of foods, you're feeding yourself, the quantity becomes less important. That's number 1. That's a quick crash course in my 5 key tips. Number 2, sleep quality, not quantity. Sleep quality, super, super important. Magic happens when we sleep and we go through the sleep cycles of light, deep, REM sleep. Brain detoxifies, we consolidate memories, our muscles and organs are able to restore and repair themselves during those sleep cycles. And no, 5 hours sleep is not enough for anybody. I don't care if you say, I do fine. In the short run, you make it through your day. In the long run, you're literally shortening your lifespan by depriving your body of that sleep. There's a book written by Matthew Walker, PhD. It's called Why We Sleep. Phenomenal book. If you're interested in sleep, go get that book, listen to it, read it, and you'll be sold. Or buy yourself an Oura ring. I'm not giving you the finger. I'm showing you my Oura ring. Oura ring provides enormous data and information around sleep quality. Those are 2 biggies. The third one is around the physical body, muscles, joints, movement, metabolic, and brain chemistry activity. You've got to move. You've got to get your body moving. You have to do some high intensity work. You have to do some lower steady state work. Mobility is a huge thing. Our joints require space in order to operate functionally. So mobility, lean muscle, super important to help deal with chronic pain and to fire all these hormonal and metabolic cascades of positive activity. So movement, lean muscle, huge. 1, 2, 3. And the fourth one I would say is absolutely this category of mindset/stress management. We've talked a lot about it. It's a thing. It's incredibly powerful. You could literally kill yourself with stress. And I know people who have done that. So there's a lot of ways to deal with that. And we've talked about it. But that's something that requires discipline and a daily structure, whether it's journaling, whether it's reading, whether it's meditating, whether it's being in nature. You've got to lighten the load on that mental thing. And then I guess the fifth one would be this whole metabolic thing. Our body is a highly sophisticated engine with incredible nuance and autonomous behaviors. Get your blood work done, and you can't just get the typical MD lipid panel. It's great information, but it doesn't scratch the surface. You need a metabolic, hormonal, adrenal, vitamin, mineral panel. And every single person I've worked with has had significant deficiencies that can easily be repleted. And it changes a lot towards that longevity and that optimal function. That's a lot.
I just think it's giving people, though, this at a really high level, what they need to just even consider. And so I think it's so helpful. I would also ask, what are some of your go-to practices for yourself on a daily basis? Obviously, you talked about, I'm sure you're incorporating several of those key factors.
So I have a morning routine, and high level is I wake up, I lay in bed 5-10 minutes, I take inventory, I think about my day, I think about what's coming. Nothing stressful in my day, but many people will wake up and, oh shoot, I have this presentation, I have this meeting, I have this deadline. If you can, before you get out of bed, like the professional athletes, like a sprinter, Olympic sprinter, they've sprinted that run 100 times in their head. When they physically get in the blocks, it's autopilot. So if you can physically, or if you can think about your day and choreograph it, observe it, and create your paradigm of how you will deal with potential stressors, the things that you feel good about, things you don't feel good about, when you step out of bed, you've already created a roadmap for a positive day. That's first things first. I have potions and tonics and things that I take, some Ayurvedic things, herbs and tinctures that I take, and essential oils to help my physical body. Then I go pound 10, 12 ounces of water because we are dehydrated. We haven't had water in 6, 8, 10, 12 hours. And a lot of metabolic activities happen during the night, and it needs to flush through. Then within 30 minutes of my eyes opening, I'm outside. Rain, shine, sun, doesn't matter. I'm outside, I'm standing on the dirt, I'm doing some breath work. I'm doing some mobility, stretching, twisting, rotating, some body weight squats, yoga inspired type stretchy things. And I have a similar to a Wim Hof breath work method, phenomenal for the body. So disease can only exist in your body when there's a lack of oxygen. When you oxygenate your body, you are creating an inhospitable environment for disease. I will tell you right now, I will never have cancer. No question. Because I know how cancer cells are formed. I know how they grow. I know how they do what they do. If you create an inhospitable environment for cancer cells, you won't have cancer.
Wow. We're gonna
follow up.
Yeah, we're gonna have to do a whole thing on that.
Yes. There are extenuating circumstances. I will tell you, and I know there are people saying, I'm genetically predisposed because my mother, my grandmother. The thought used to be that 80% of our medical future was genetic. That was many years ago. Now, functional medicine, integrative medicine, MDs, people will say it's reversed. It's 80% lifestyle, 20% genetic. And I believe that. Then I run little laps. We have a decent sized lawn, so I'll run some laps just to get my body moving. Boom, I go inside. I have a little morning tea that I drink that has all kinds of stuff in it, like 7 different ingredients, just to warm up my gut. And then I'll probably start checking in. I'll see what's going on with my computer and people, whatever. I do check it now and then because I have kids that I have a lot of people that count on me, and I choose to be responsive to them. I'm not a slave to my phone. I'm committed to my role as a foundation for my kids and for friends and family members. And so they know that they can always find me. I'm in yoga, and they know that because the phone's in the other room. And when I'm sleeping, I turn my phone off. But have you guys heard of a landline?
Yes, a long time ago.
You remember that?
That's a common thing.
So I have a landline solely for the purpose that, God forbid, there's an emergency in the middle of the night. Someone's going to call that phone number because my cell phone's off. So let me speed things up. So morning routine, then there's a breakfast, and then I have my day navigated. I use Outlook as my calendar where I collect all my emails. So I'm very structured and organized with my appointments, my calendar, my emails, my text messages, my schedule, my reminders, so that I don't have to carry that stuff around with me. I want to have plenty of bandwidth in my consciousness and not, oh God, I have to remember to do this and this. I get everything down on a little cheat sheet, or it goes into my computer so that I could flow through my day and not worry about forgetting something. Planning your day, structuring your day into specific time slots. Structure creates freedom. I'm a structure guy. Like vacations, I overplan vacations and then I underdo, because I have the freedom to do that because I've created a structure.
True.
So you get through your day, I eat and the fridge is stocked, and I have a routine for going to the farmer's market and prepping foods and ordering and having the highest quality foods readily available to me in my fridge and in my pantry at all times, so that you're not forced to like, oh shit, I'm so hungry, I'm going to go eat a piece of crap. That works for me. I'm like a 98% compliant guy when it comes to food. I don't want to cheat. I don't want the sweets. I don't drink. That's how my lifestyle has adapted. And for those who are doing, eating, drinking things that are not optimally healthy, I just invite them to pull back a little bit, cut it in half, and lean into the good stuff. Nighttime routine really revolves around getting off technology, dimming the lights in your home, doing things that are calming so that your being can spool down. Maybe it's foam rolling, maybe it's stretching, maybe it's sitting with your partner and having a conversation, maybe it's listening to music, maybe it's meditating, maybe it's all of the above, so that you can slow it down. You can't just have the lights on bright, get in bed and flip the lights off and expect to get into these sleep cycles. I have these red light glasses that I wear. I have a couple lights in the house that are red, and they're a specific red bulb that doesn't tell your optic nerve that it's daytime. If it's 11 o'clock at night and you're on your computer and your lights are bright and you're listening to loud music, your brain thinks it's daytime. Think about cavemen. And then for those listening, look up circadian rhythm. Basically, it says when it's nighttime, your body goes into a PM mode and it performs certain functions. And when it's bright out, your body does daytime activities. And the optic nerve takes the greatest amount of bandwidth. Like I'm here with you on the screen, I have peripheral vision. My eyes are picking up, analyzing everything. And back in the day, they were looking to see if a bear was going to come get them, right? So we're genetically and biologically in our DNA programmed to have this broad-based awareness of, am I safe? And so slowing that down, dimming lights, getting off technology, having these quiet moments allows you to slip in, go to sleep easily, and go through those sleep cycles. And then you just rinse and repeat.
So much wisdom, Larry.
That is some inspiration there.
Many would call me boring because I like to go to bed at the same time every night. I wake up around the same time. I'm not a drinker. I don't like to be out gallivanting late at night. I like the quiet, intimate life. Not for everybody. If you want to improve the quality of your day and your week and your life. And so it's really about trade-offs. It's about discipline. It's about structure. And it's about finding patterns and routines that can be sustainable. And not everybody's going to be as obsessive as I am around all these pillars. And that's cool.
Not for another 65 years. And then they're going to see that you've lived 150, and then that will change.
So, should we schedule another podcast in 40 years and then another one 40 years after that?
Yes.
I'm available.
You definitely will be available, and we'll need to do one a lot sooner than that because there's still a lot more to discuss. And as you said, you're doing all of these things to show us what is possible. And I am excited to know that you are going to be here until you're 150 years old.
At least.
And maybe I'll be reborn at that time, so I'll get to meet you again.
We have a lot of time to do a lot of amazing.
I agree. So For everybody listening, you can find out more about working with Larry at genesisperformance.net. That's GENESIS. So it's genesisperformance.net. You can also book a session with Larry on theseekingcenter.com. And you can follow Larry and his team at Genesis Performance on Instagram. And Larry, we will definitely be talking and working together.
Let me just add one more note. There's an enormous amount of content on the Genesis brand. There's blogs, there's a lot of Instagram, LinkedIn, Facebook posting. I create all the content. It's all written by a human, and the content revolves around my passion. And so even if we don't chat, please give yourself some time to go onto my platform and read some of the content. I promise you, you'll be inspired. I promise you, you'll pick up some tips and tricks because it's real stuff. And I say that not to pick anybody up as a client, but it's my contribution to elevating humanity. And I am very passionate and particular about the content that we post. And there's a lot of really good, easy things that you can do, a lot of tidbits to pick up. And so I ask and encourage you all to take some time and dive into some content.
Oh, definitely.
Thank you so
Thank
much,
you.
Larry. We are so grateful to be soul connected to you. This is so
Absolutely.
on purpose and really looking forward to more.
I'm grateful to speak with you both and to see you and to be inspired by you and your journey and your passions. And I look forward to being of service to that and staying connected at a personal level, a professional level, and anything else that is in front of us.
Thank you.
Thank you.